So let's get started. Today we're going to be going over power pairing foods. My name is Nikki Lanowski. I'm the wellness technician here in the wellness department in benefits. Basically, we're looking to pair foods for an optimal diet. So getting into it, today's presentation, we'll be discussing the following points. We'll do a quick nutrition overview. We'll touch on nutrition deficiencies, cravings, as well as why pair foods together and how to balance meals and snacks. So going into our quick nutrition overview, I'm sure on the screen, some of these things look very familiar to you. There are 6 classes of essential nutrients for human health, meaning we can't live without them without negative consequences. Our bodies don't make them, so we have to obtain them from our diet, what we eat. They include fats, carbohydrates, protein, vitamins, minerals, and water. They're also known as micronutrients and macronutrients. Carbohydrates, protein, and fats are collectively called macronutrients because we need them in large amounts. They provide energy, are also known as calories, to create new cells, tissues, revitalize organs, also supporting everyday functions like breathing, digestion, maintaining body temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, supporting hormone regulation, just to name a few. But these macronutrients rely on something called enzymes to kick themselves into gear. So enzyme is a substance produced by body cells that help bring about or speed up bodily chemical activities without them being destroyed. So enzymes need cofactors to work, and this is where vitamins and minerals, are also known as micronutrients, come in. Essentially, macronutrients don't work effectively or efficiently without the support of micronutrients. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals have very important jobs. There are approximately 30 vitamins and minerals we need to consume regularly to have multiple functions, and they work synergistically to run your metabolism and keep you alive and healthy. But with the SAD, or also known as the standard American diet, you may be falling short. There are a few stats on the SAD, or standard American diet. According to the US Department of Agriculture, estimates show 32% of our calories consumed come from animal food. 57% come from processed plant foods. So this is a concerning statistic. And we'll find out more information coming up regarding processed foods and nutrient level, but at the end of the day, even though it sounds like plant foods, it is processed plant foods, which is over half. And then an also concerning statistic is only 11% coming from whole grains, beans, fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Interestingly, a dietary quality index was developed reflecting the percentage of calories people consume from nutrient unprocessed plant foods on a scale of 0 all the way to 100. The higher people score, the more body fat they tend to lose over time, and the lower their risk of obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and high triglycerides. Sadly, it appears most Americans hardly make it past the score of 10 out of 100. That means on a scale of 1 to 10, the American diet rates at about a 1. So a little bit concerning. We're clearly lacking dietary quality. So what is so important about a nutrient-rich diet full of micronutrients anyways? Getting into the critical function of micronutrients, let's start with taking a deeper dive into vitamins. There are two types of vitamins that we have, water soluble and fat soluble. We'll start with water soluble. As the term indicates, they are soluble or they dissolve in water. Water soluble vitamins refer to the combination of vitamin B complex and C. So you'll see on the slide what these vitamins do. Vitamin B vitamins are needed to extract energy from food. Vitamin B12 is required for proper nerve function and to make red blood cells. Vitamin C is needed for growth, development, and repair of the body tissue. Water-soluble vitamins are readily absorbed and consumed by the body's tissues and excreted through the kidneys. So basically, you pee them out. Our bodies do not store water-soluble vitamins for future cell activities. So they need to be replenished on a consistent basis, which is why it's important to include them regularly within your diet. So getting into our fat-soluble vitamins, as the term indicates, they are soluble or they dissolve in fat. Fat-soluble vitamins are our vitamins A, D, E, and K. Vitamin A is needed for good vision, immunity, healthy skin. Vitamin D is required to form bone, healthy immune function, and functions like a hormone throughout the body. Vitamin E is an antioxidant and helps protect cells from damage. Vitamin K is needed to form blood clots and shuttle calcium into the bone. Dietary fats, or fats that we eat, acts as a vehicle. Vitamins are absorbed into that fat when eaten together to travel through the stomach and small intestine. Once in the small intestine, fats move across the cell wall into circulation, basically known as absorption. Then they're sent off to the liver and fat tissue where they're stored in the body until it is needed. So then we have minerals. Minerals are an element that originate in the earth and cannot be made by living organisms. Plants obtain minerals from the soil, and most of our minerals in our diet come from plants indirectly or from animal sources. This is why it's important to know what you eat eats, meaning the animal sourcing that you eat, what their diet consists of. Minerals are vital elements necessary for the body. A few important minerals are calcium, which is needed for muscle contraction and bone formation. Iron is required to transport oxygen throughout the body. Magnesium regulates muscle contraction and nerve transmission. It helps form teeth and bone and is needed in over 300 metabolic reactions in the body. So lots of magnesium that's being used. Potassium is needed for muscle contraction, proper nerve conduction, and to maintain fluid and electrolyte balance within the body. From what we just reviewed, micronutrients are pretty powerful and some important stuff. So where may we be falling short? In the US, intakes below recommended daily allowance, or also known as RDAs, are common. The 2015 and to 2020 dietary guidelines for American reported 9 widely underconsumed nutrients. These include magnesium, calcium, potassium, vitamin D, A, C, E, choline, and fiber. The recommended daily allowance, or RDA, is the quantity of a particular nutrient that should be consumed daily to maintain good health. The RDA is recommended to avoid disease and maintain health. So these are not optimal levels. Too much of something is, of course, can be a bad thing. However, most Americans are lacking meeting the RDA. So for example, fiber. To avoid colon cancer, it's recommended to eat 25 to 30 grams a day. The average American eats about 16 grams of fiber. This is a very concerning statistic because just to avoid colon cancer, we're recommending 25 to 30%, and we're getting about half that. So what's the reasoning behind all of these deficiencies? The main reason for the deficiencies are due to a few things. First one we'll go over is diets high in processed foods, transit time, think farm to store to table, and conventional farming methods. So getting into a little bit more of processed foods, there's certain levels of processed foods. And this depends on the level of processing depends on the effect of the nutrient content. So first, what we have is unprocessed or minimally processed foods, are whole foods in which vitamins and nutrients are still intact, all the good stuff. The food is in its natural or nearly natural state. These foods can be minimally altered by removing edible parts, drying, crushing, roasting, boiling, freezing, or pasteurization to make them suitable to store and safe to consume. Unprocessed or minimally processed foods would include carrots, apples, raw chicken, melon, raw unsalted nuts. Then we have processing for processed foods. Processing changes a food from its natural state. Processed foods are essentially made from adding salt, oil, sugar, other substances. Examples of this include canned fish, canned vegetables, fruits and syrup, and freshly made breads. Most processed foods have about 2 to 3 ingredients. Then we have our highly processed or ultra processed foods. They most likely have added ingredients such as sugar, salt, fat, artificial colors, and preservatives. Ultra processed foods are made mostly from substances extracted from food, so not the actual real food itself, and it's an extraction of it, such as fat, starches, added sugar, and hydrogenated fats. They may also contain additives like artificial colors, flavors, and stabilizers. Examples of these foods are frozen meals, soft drinks, hot dogs, cold cuts, fast food, packaged cookies, cakes, salty snacks, basically anything that comes in a wrapper. Well, processed food has its convenience. Food processing also has its drawbacks. Depending on the level of processing, many nutrients can be destroyed and removed. Peeling the layers of fruits and vegetables and whole grains may remove plant nutrients, also known as phytochemicals, and fiber. Heating or drying foods can destroy certain vitamins and minerals. Although food manufacturers can add some of those nutrients lost, this is also known as fortification. It's common in milks and cereals. It's impossible to recreate the food in its original form. So nothing quite compares to that food in its natural state. So getting into it, the top 6 sources of calories in the US diet come from desserts, grain-based, usually cakes, cookies, donuts, bread, chicken and chicken mix dishes, soda, pizza, and alcoholic beverages, mostly all containing refined, processed flours, sugars, and other ingredients. As the list shows, most foods consumed by Americans are ultra-processed food, which explains some of the reasoning behind the inadequate levels of vitamins and nutrients in our diet. So aside from processed food, more reasons for low levels come from where we get our food and how it is grown. We can go to the grocery store and buy strawberries any time of the year, which is absolutely amazing. But strawberries don't grow all year round, which means that they are usually imported across the country or even possibly across the globe. So the issue with this, first off, is we'll look at ripeness. Food is harvested early in order to be shipped and distributed to your local retail store. Also looking at it, once it's picked earlier, there's higher levels of respiration. After picking, fruits and vegetables continue to breathe. This process, called respiration, is the breakdown of stored organic materials such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and it leads to a loss of food value, flavor, and nutrients within the food. Produce will lose heat from respiration as well, which is one way nutrients are lost. Warm, dry air can speed up this process considerably. Think about the transit time potentially across country from other countries. That leaves plenty of time for nutrients to be lost through respiration. Then also getting into how our food comes to be. Changes in our farming methods, including the extensive use of chemical fertilizers, selective breeding. This is basically us selectively developing particular traits in our food. This has been a good thing because it has ensured resiliency in our crops, but it also has come with a cause of nutrient loss where we're pulling some things and genes out of a seed, but also losing some nutrients as well over time. And then also lastly, the rate of carbon dioxide within the air has increased, which has been noted to decrease the nutrient value in our food. So right now, I'd like to take a pause and hear from you guys with a poll, just kind of asking, what is the biggest factors that limit you from your fruit and veggie intake?
Hey, Nikki.
Yeah.
It's telling me that I actually can't do the poll right now, but it's at the bottom it's in your menu if you want to launch it.
Let me see.
It is right next to participants and right to the left of chat.
Got it. All right. All right, so looking at our total, it looks like majority is busy schedule, and awesome. A lot of you guys say that you eat enough, so perfect. All right. So what's the issue with low vitamins and mineral levels? Low levels have been linked to multiple age-related chronic diseases. Since vitamins and minerals are required for numerous processes in the body, chronic shortages will negatively impact various health and metabolism aspects. Some studies show low levels are linked to multiple age-related chronic diseases, including cancer, osteoporosis, and heart disease. Also, low levels is linked to increased hunger levels and low satiety, basically feeling full, satisfied after eating. When the body is not getting what it needs, hunger signals will continue to fire after eating. It's the body's way of telling us you're not getting enough of what you need. So think about eating a delicious whole bunch of pizza, but for some reason your body is shortly telling you after it's still hungry because you didn't quite need that. You maybe need a little bit of more magnesium in your life. So those cues are still, you're not going to quite feel as satisfied. Hunger levels will still be there. So how do we combat this? What is the fix? Focusing on adding whole nutrient-dense power pair foods to your diet. So what is a nutrient-dense food? Thinking of that, calories or energy compared to the level of vitamins, minerals, or other important nutrients. Think of an avocado, high in energy, so has a good amount of calories in it, has healthy fats, vitamins and minerals. Or also on the flip side, think about kale. It's lower in energy, has less calories, but it also packs a punch with high levels of vitamins and minerals. Compare that to a Diet Coke, for instance. Low in energy, doesn't have a lot of calories in it, but not much of any nutrient value in it. Maybe a little bit of sodium, but we're not getting any good protein, carbohydrate, fat in there. So nutrient density is low with that Coke. Also, finding the freshest produce. Maybe you're a green thumb and you're ready to start growing your own food, which is a fantastic option. While growing your own food may not be possible, look for local farms or growers. A CSA, or community supported agriculture, is a great opportunity to find local food. It's one of my favorite ways. Also, buying locally increases the chances of nutritional diversity and decreases the amount of handling, since local produce is commonly picked by hand rather than machine. Minimal handling means less of a chance of contamination, which can increase the rate of decay, which is that loss of nutrients. And then also, any produce is better than none. Fresh, frozen, canned. If you can't get fresh, opting for frozen is your next best step. With canned, just be mindful. Tends to be higher in sodiums, just being mindful, just making sure to check the ingredients, looking at the label. So how much fruit and vegetables should you be eating daily? Vegetables, we are looking at about 1 to 2 cups or 4 servings daily. We have a nice little portion size pitcher to go along with this. For vegetables, we have 2 to 3 cups or about 7 servings. And to look to pair these foods together for maximum nutrient absorption and satiety. So what are the power pairs? So first we have 4 main power pairs for increased nutrient absorption. We will get into vitamin C and iron first. So vitamin C helps break the iron down into a form that the body can more easily absorb. It's not enough to eat a diet daily containing both nutrients. Absorption of iron will be much greater if you pair these 2 nutrients together in a single meal. Sometimes that can be as simple as adding a squeeze of lemon or a splash of orange juice into your spinach salad, or tossing diced apples into a lentil dish. Even just drinking lemon water along with a plant-based meal can help the iron absorption tremendously. So for vitamin C, you're going to want to think about citrus fruit, red peppers, kale, broccoli, pairing that with our meat, beef, chicken, organ meat, as well as beans, lentils, and whole grains. The biggest concern with iron absorption isn't whether you're getting it from a plant or animal source. Iron from animal foods like beef is much more absorbable than iron from plant food like spinach, beans, whole grains. The biggest factor in that is the sourcing that you're having. So when you eat plant-based sources of iron, it tends to inhibit other nutrients, tend to inhibit that absorption of the iron within that food. So if you're a vegetarian, just being extra vigilant about what you're pairing your iron sources with. One thing to really make sure that you're doing is avoiding iron and calcium, especially if you're vegan or vegetarian, with calcium. So we don't want to be pairing iron and calcium together. The presence of calcium decreases iron absorption. So thinking about soy or tofu with seeds, lentils, or whole grains. Getting into our next power pair, we have vitamin D and calcium. This vitamin mineral combo will help keep your bones healthy. Vitamin D brings in more calcium from the foods you eat and the supplements you take. The two work together because the active vitamin D causes a cascade of effects that increase the absorption of dietary calcium within your intestines. To get this food pairing right, eat foods offering vitamin D, such as salmon, tuna, egg yolks, or fortified foods like milk, non-dairy beverages like soy or orange juice. Eat a variety of calcium-providing foods, including beans, kale, collard greens, broccoli, dry figs, oranges, and dairy foods. So a few power pair examples of this is a good egg omelet with broccoli or kale, so that full egg yolk along with it, not just egg whites, or something along the lines of salmon over beans and collard greens. Getting into our third power pair, we have our fat and fat-soluble vitamins. Your intestines absorb certain vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K, when they're paired with fat, as we discussed earlier. Getting enough of these vitamins and maximally absorbing them is important because deficiencies are connected with heightened risk of cancer and type 2 diabetes. Ideally, make the fat source an unsaturated one. So some good unsaturated sources are nuts, seeds, avocado, olive oil, and olives. You'll find vitamin A and vitamin K in green leafy veggies, vitamin A in orange or yellow veggies and tomatoes, vitamin E in a variety of nuts and seeds. So food pairing, a big colorful salad with olive oil, based dressing, think about tomatoes, orange or yellow peppers, beets, a squeeze of lemon juice, and dressing, that olive-based dressing. And also, one of my favorites is sauteing up tomatoes, avocado, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese or cheese of your choice. Getting into our fourth and final pair for increased nutrient absorption is vitamin D and magnesium. Vitamin D increases intestinal absorption of magnesium, a mineral involved in functions such as cellular repair, heart rate. Magnesium is a cofactor for vitamin D synthesis. A cofactor is basically an assist. This means magnesium needs to be present in order for the skin to make vitamin D. It's a perfect example of a two-way street. Food pairings, thinking of salmon or trout for vitamin D, coated in almonds instead, or in almond flour instead of breadcrumbs for that dose of magnesium, or also a salad topped with salmon and pumpkin seeds, or for any vegan or vegetarians, a mushroom stir fry topped with chopped cashews. So our next power pair is all about satiety. So we are looking to keep hunger at bay. Sometimes improving absorption is all about slowing things down and maintaining blood sugar levels. And this is the case for pairing fat, fiber, and protein. Healthy fat helps us feel satisfied and full after meals, maintaining steady energy and blood sugar, and helps remove sugar cravings. Helpful dietary fat has been shown to reduce abdominal fat, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce testosterone levels with associated symptoms. When it comes to fats, they're not all created equal. Certain fats are beneficial and important to health, such as olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish, and coconut. Emphasize olive oil with emphasizing more of the olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and maybe even occasional ghee or coconut oil. Eating that fatty fish, about 4 ounces. That includes salmon, mackerel, anchovies, and sardines. And then next, pairing that up with protein. Protein helps keep blood sugar levels steady, so avoiding peaks and valleys in our blood sugar, and this helps control hunger and craving. So blood sugar is not all about pre-diabetes or people who have diabetes. It's something that most people should be concerned about, and avoiding high peaks and dips. For protein, high quality protein sources, if possible, we like that grass-fed meat, skinless poultry, fish and seafood, eggs, tofu, tempeh, cottage cheese, and yogurt. Also, legumes such as black beans, chickpeas, lentils, white beans work just as well. Also including that, so our trio, last but not least, including fiber. Fiber slows the absorption of nutrients, specifically glucose, which in other terms is carbohydrates. Natural sugars in vegetables and fruit are delivered to us in a fiber package to slow absorption and sugar. Vegetables and fruit are best eaten in their whole state. For fiber options, you definitely want to think about nuts and seeds. My favorite is chia seeds, whole fruits and vegetables, dark chocolate, oats, legumes, beans and lentils. So when adding in those fruits and vegetables and fiber, just think about keeping it colorful, especially with those fruit and vegetables, because you're also adding in those good vitamins and minerals as we discussed before. Also, when you're eating carbohydrates, even vegetables and fruit, also known also are carbohydrates, they get broken down into glucose. This increases your blood sugar level, which is a normal response. The problem is when your blood sugar increases too fast, causing a huge spike. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, high blood glucose levels, causing higher levels of hunger, cravings, also boosting your risk for prediabetes and diabetes. So eating the fat, fiber, and protein at the same time allows food to break down more slowly, helping stabilize blood sugar levels because less sugar is released into the bloodstream at once. And this is crucial for satiety and energy balance on a daily basis. So a good food pairing for this is an avocado toast with a side of eggs, oatmeal with protein powder, or as well as nut butter. I like to call it proats, as well as apple slices with whole wheat toast and nut butter. So how much fat, fiber, and protein are we looking for per meal and snack? A good range that we're looking for is about 15 to 30 grams of protein per meal, pairing that with about 2 tablespoons of fat for us to feel nice and full, satiated. Also, eating the fibrous greens, vegetables, colorful fruits, nuts and seeds to help keep you full with the fiber. With fiber, we're looking about 5 to 15 grams per meal or snack. Remember, we're trying to get in about 25 grams for female daily and 38 grams for male daily. And that's just the minimum that we're looking to. And of course, with fiber, just a word of caution, you want to build up to that if you're not quite eating a lot of fiber, and making sure you're drinking plenty of water. So just going into a quick overview of everything that we've discussed today. Don't feel overwhelmed. I know sometimes it's a lot, meaning to pair this food with that food and not getting enough. At the end of the day, just focus on small changes in your diet to power pair foods. Pick 2 foods you already eat and find a power pair. Eating a variety of foods with colors. Think about eating the rainbow, focusing on eating all food groups, not just one certain one or limiting to 2. A simple goal for this is adding 2 to 3 different colors on your plate each time you eat. And also focus on consuming and pairing whole foods that are nutrient dense. Avoid eating plain or naked food, avoiding just eating a banana or apple, which will spike that blood sugar up. We want to pair that with, for example, fruit with nut butter, avocado and toast, a smoothie that contains protein powder, nut butter, chia, flaxseed, spinach, and strawberries. That's one of my favorite smoothies. As well as just having that balance, focusing on fat, protein, fiber at each of our snacks and meals. And I'd like to just end on one final question for all of you guys. What power pair do you think that you're going to try to incorporate first? Let's get that poll up. Oops. There we go. All right, so we have our pairs up there. Maybe it's first just trying to pair it up with fat, fiber, protein, maybe vitamin D and magnesium. All right, we'll go ahead and that poll. And it looks like fat, fiber, protein is our top result, as well as a little vitamin D, magnesium, and some vitamin C and iron. Awesome. Well, we'll hang out for a little bit longer. You can feel free to answer any, ask any questions that you may have. But thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, any topics, a little bit more you want to discuss, feel free to reach out and have a great rest of your day, guys.